Are we recording? All right. What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, and since I've kind of got some time to do some videos now, I figure I would. So, Leo, I've been seeing Leo's name wrong for like years. Leo I had some comments about the base, so we're gonna go. I'm going in and making those changes, just painting some of these details. So, I already went in and hand painted these kind of pipes with some Vallejo metal color magnesium. Going down and painting this piece down here with Vallejo metal color gunmetal. It's slightly different. It's a slightly darker tone than the previous color, and I'm just kind of going in here and doing this by hand like this. I'm gonna go in once this is all done. I'll seal it, and I'll do some pastels to give it some shading and stuff. So nothing really too difficult right here. Just kind of go in and make sure we get around all the edges and stuff. Just like this. I'm using a number 2 brush. This is actually a number 5 brush. It's just a cheap brush from Hobby Lobby, and it's actually doing a really good job of holding the paint and giving me a point to get down in there. So we're going to go around and do this, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I did a few more steps since I last started recording. So I went through and like I said, I was base coating this with gunmetal gray. I went through and hit these little detail areas here with some of the Vallejo metal color gold. And I hit these tops of these guys right here, the same color as this, which is just magnesium. Hit it with some Krylon matte, pretty good coat. Hit it with a hair dryer. Now what I'm going to do is I've got a real watery kind of wash here. So it's kind of brown and gray. This is just golden artist acrylics with water. I have some enamel washes, but if I want to work quickly and I can't put it on top of the Krylon, I'll eat through the Krylon. So I've got this, I'm going to try this brown color and see how this does. I want to kind of get in some of these recesses. And it's not, I don't mix it up super watery because I want it to, a wash is like basically water. This is somewhere between a wash and, I don't know, what would it be, like a filter? I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I got some of these like really shitty rags that I use for wiping off washers and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit area at a time. I'm just going to put it on here. This will kind of tone everything down a little bit, and it'll weather it. I just kind of slap it on real messy, and then I'm just going to go in there and kind of wipe it off a little bit. It's probably maybe a little too watery. Leia wanted this a little more weathered looking, so I'm going to try dabbing. The great thing about this is that it's water-based. If it's not what I like, I can just take some water and take it off. So if you can tell the difference between this little area here and there, it's toned down a little bit. Still going to look metallic. It's just going to have a little slightly weathered look to it. You can see I'm not real careful. I just kind of slop it on there. Just work a small area at a time so this doesn't dry too much. And I'll probably do one more layer of pastel work to add a little more shading to this. I'm going to paint the bottom rim of this black, so I'm not worried about that looking too messy. If you dab it, you kind of get this kind of texture to it. It looks really good, so that's looking nice. Still just toning this down a little bit. I was reluctant at first to do this, but I think he's right. I think that this needs a little more work. So here it is with nothing done to it, and if you come over here, I'm not sure if it shows up in camera, you can see it's kind of toned down. I can tell a difference here in person. So these little things right here, this is the color, the base color, and then the background where the rivets are, it's the same color, just with shading, with a lot of heavier candy color on top of it. So you can kind of see what that color looks like before I start laying on different colors. So you can kind of get away with leaving things the same color, just doing different levels of shading and candy color to get some different tones. I can't say the word. Differentiation? I can't think of it. My brain's fried from homeschooling today. Trying to get a schedule down. Basically, have kids' schoolwork done by 3. That way I can get up here in the studio and work, paint. Because I can't do it during the day because I'm too busy homeschooling. Which is very challenging, by the way. Teachers have a very gifted talent to teach, for sure. All right. And hopefully I didn't chip the paint when I did that. I've said it before, if I could keep myself from messing up during a paint job, it'd go half it. It wouldn't take me nearly as long. I spend a lot of time fixing my fuck ups. This little speck of white, I think that's in my wash. Yeah, this looks looking good. Kind of like the dabbing has a little texture to it. It's like right there, kind of dried a little too fast before I got to it. All I gotta do is, I'll just use a little saliva actually, and I can rub it off, and I can go back and redo that spot. Still want the wash there, still want it to dry spotty. I'll hit this with a hair dryer once I'm done, and actually I'll let it dry because all that wash has gone into the little panel lines and stuff, and I don't want to use a blow dryer to blow it out. I want to keep it in there. Actually go back and hit some of these again so it stays in there. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm digging it. I gotta mix some more of this wash up. I didn't mix enough up, I don't think. It's a little thicker than a wash. I want it to stick. So the paints I'm using on this is just golden Artist Colors tube acrylics. They're really nice. I need to buy some more of them. I really like them. You can see this, putting it on, you don't have to be super neat about it. And then taking it off, I kind of like this dabbing motion rather than wiping. Adds another layer of texture to the metal. When I get down here, I do a little wiping, so I can't get down in there real well. And then I get on this bottom edge to do a wipe just to get the excess. I'll mix up a little bit more of this. I'm using got just a touch of this neutral gray, just a little bit of that, and it's mostly burnt umber. Where'd it go? Burnt umber and then water. A little water. So making some off camera here, mixing some more up. I think I got too much gray at that time. It's a different tone. A little more burnt umber into it. Sorry, I'm just off the side here doing it. It's a messy process. At least the way I do it is super messy. Should use a bigger brush to put it on. So it's taking a little too much time. It's a little thicker. I kind of like it better this consistency. Gets it down in all the crevices. I thought about doing a rust color for this, but I didn't want to add any orange to it because it's pretty orange already because it's kind of a gold color. So what I'll do before I seal this again is I'll give it a really good look over, make sure it looks exactly the way I want, because if it doesn't, I can go, like I said, I can just go in with some water and wipe it off and kind of redo that little area that if I'm not too real happy with it. Something there. So I kind of wiped a little too much off there, so I'll just put some more back on and then dab it off. This is a messy process. When I'm done with this, my hands look like just really dirty. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Yeah, so I just toned it down a little bit. And if this is too much, I can go back there and I can just put a little dampness on my cloth and wipe over the top. And all that paint, the acrylic will stay down in the recesses and the details. I gotta do that before I seal it. Once I seal it, I can't go back. So there's that step. Not sure if it's showing up in camera, but it looks great in person. Alright, so I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'll see if I want to wipe any off. Get a little. Like here, it's a little too much. I'm just putting a little, basically just a little saliva. Actually, I kind of like the way that looks. This is how I do work a lot of times, guys. I just start doing stuff and it kind of works. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Wipe it off a little bit. Now it's dry a little bit. When I do this, it won't come out of the recesses. At least it shouldn't. Yeah, I got some up on the concrete. I don't want that. Take that off. Take a little bit off. Especially on these little round guys. Take some more off so they stand out a little bit more. A little heavy right there. It's all right. Doesn't have to be perfect all the way around. Okay. It's a little darker on this side for some reason. That's where I started. It's all right. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'll let this dry. I'm gonna work on it a little bit more and then see what it looks like, and then we'll seal it. And then I'll probably do one last step of pastels, kind of like between some of these, like between the pipes and stuff, just get a little more shading. But that toned it down just a little bit. Actually, I put the logo back on. The logo stands out a little bit more now, and this is just a slightly different tone. So I'm kind of digging that. That looks good. So, all right, when I come back, we'll do some pastel work. All right, so now I'm going in with some metals. I sealed this with a Krylon mat, hit it with a hairdryer. I'm going with some metal slag pigment, and I'm just going to go around. Can I see the hairdryer? I'm going around these edges of this pipe down here. And around this guy, and concentrating it right in the groove there where the pipe meets the gold. Just blow off the excess. I thought about going in with another color, darker color, but I don't want to do like a One of my favorites is rocket exhaust, but it's super dark. It's almost black. Well, it is black. I didn't want to go black on this, so. And this should be the last step of the weathering on this, and then I just got to paint the bottom rim black. I'll probably just hand paint that too. So we're just adding a little bit of, this is just getting a little bit of shading up on the side here. I love pigments. They're very messy, but you have a lot of control over them. And this will also help blend in any kind of little rough edges or edges that aren't, since it was hand painted, the edges aren't exactly perfect. This will kind of help blend those in a little bit too. Just blow off the excess. Make sure your lips are dry when you blow on this stuff, because if you spit on your piece, then it's gonna hit the pigments and it'll create a mess. You have to wipe it off and kind of start over in that area. So you can use like artist pastels, like the kind you grind up from Michael's or whatever. The thing about those is that once you you tend to have to do them a couple times, because once you hit it with like a matte coat, they kind of disappear. So I kind of try to just use the hobby pastels, because they tend to work better and maintain their look after you seal them. Doing the same thing down here, just turn my off camera. Now the base is kind of weathered looking. It does look better. I like it. It's more realistic. Sometimes my clients know what they're talking about. Hit the bottom side of this. And I'm dabbing it on there so it'll stick. So I'm kind of pushing it onto the surface. So I got a little too much right there. I'm just going to kind of brush it off. So as you look through this over, you can see that the surface it's not as perfect as it was before. There's little imperfections and stuff here on here, but I think it helps add to the look of it. Got a little too much there, just going to blend it back in. So between the wash I did and this, we got some nice details that got pulled out. Nice kind of realistic weathered look to it. So I think that looks pretty good. Hopefully Leo will like this, because there's no going back. Hope you like it, Leo, because this is it now, man. there's no going back. And so this little part right here is a little detail. I thought about painting different colors. I'm just gonna go over it with this pastel, and it'll give it a slightly different tone, and they'll get into the detail there. So it's a little kind of way of cheating to kind of get it a different color without having to paint it. But now it's a slightly different color than the rest. But you still see the metallic through it, and the pastels got down in those little detail lines. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, my phone rang, so hopefully you caught the last part. Anyway, we're gonna seal this one more time, and then I'm just gonna paint the bottom rim black. I'm gonna hand paint that and seal one more time, and I'm gonna call it done. So once I'm done, I'll come back one more time and show it to you. Am I recording? Oh, there we go. There we go. There's the brace, all revised. So looking good, weathered. Got the black riser on the bottom. I put the vinyl back on. The vinyl came completely wrinkled. I actually ironed it out. This is better than it looked before. I put it on. Leo said, "Oh, I don't want the vinyl," so I took it off, and then I put it back on. So that's as look good as it looks, man. Sorry, but it was actually looked worse than this before I put it on the first time. I actually ironed it, tried to get most of the wrinkles out, but this is what it is. So that's just how it came, unfortunately. But this looks really good. So now the base is done. It looks really good. I'm happy with it. I think it does look better, nice and weathered. Yeah, it's a nice change. Breaks it up. And let's see what it looks like with flash on there. 1 second. Yeah, let's see. Let's get the full effect real quick. Even though skin tones aren't done, I'm going to work on these tonight. A little touch up there on the chest I got to do now. Always got to do touch ups. Anyway, guess that's what it looks like with the suit. Looks good. Super happy with that. So I'll probably do some videos. I'll probably do some videos on the skin tones. I mean, I don't have a formula. It takes a lot of time. I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we'll do that next. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Bye.